Hi there, and welcome to my session as part of DigiLeaders AI Week 2025. My name's Natalie Luckham, and I'm the founder and director of Naturally Social. We're a social media consultancy based in Wiltshire, and I'm an AI educator as well. Today's session, how to save 10 plus hours a week on content creation with AI tools while remaining on brand, tells the story of our journey with AI and hopefully shares some tips and tricks along the way that you can utilize inside your work. Let's get to it. Hopefully, by the end of this session, I'm going to give you the confidence to know that AI tools are not a threat to comms and marketers. In fact, they can save us precious time and money, and they can produce content that sounds and looks like you or your brand. Hopefully, by the end of our time together, you're going to discover that AI doesn't have to be confusing and the outputs don't have to be underwhelming. It can be easy, exciting, and actionable, no matter your skill set or budget. I've created a 22-page workbook as a reminder of the things that we're going to be covering today. And more importantly, it'll help you to make some notes, write down some inspiration that you can take into action straight away. And it's available in the resources area of the dashboard. So, my story is a bit like this. I started in social media as one of the first social media managers in public sector, in local government specifically, back in 2012. So, I've been in the social media industry for a long time. I've had some great opportunities using new technologies and being at the forefront at that time. We ran innovative campaigns, and I was lucky enough to just have to worry about posting photos in one size or live tweeting some events. In fact, really the hardest thing was keeping on top of community management, checking notifications, and coming up with new ideas. And I was constantly on my phone, which in my 20s, not such a bad thing. But when I went self employed in 2015, I wanted to help small businesses and third sector organizations learn how to use social media well. I wanted to provide the resources and expertise that was often missing in house. That grew into an agency, and I found myself quickly on that cyclical social media wheel again of planning content, scheduling content, coming up with new ideas, staying on top of the latest trends, generating results, reporting results, and the list goes on. I'm sure that's relatable for many. I was chained to my desk and my phone. And while the business grew, I was quite frankly frazzled. And then fast forward post pandemic years. And unfortunately, I had to make the decision to scale back from a team of 10 to a team of 4 and eventually to a team of 2. And I was pretty burnt out and run down. In March 2023, I went to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, and I wanted to go there for some inspiration and to be amongst my people. And the main subject of that conference was AI and a few of the other sessions, in fact. And all I can say is that it got me so excited and obsessed again. I walked away from that conference with a fire in my belly again that I was looking for and that I hadn't felt since the early days when I was in our local authority running social media campaigns in the PR section. I knew this technology was going to change the way we worked. And so, as with everything in my career, I became a practitioner of AI, and I started to fuse it together with my knowledge of social media marketing. I started to research, read, listen, and experiment with tools. And 2023 was very much about that. It was about experimenting, learning, and also policy creation. I'd gone back to my team of 4 at that point and said, I've found these really cool tools. I want us to look into how we can use it, but let's go on this journey together. And at the beginning of 2024, after I took my AI CIM marketing, or my AI and marketing award, we went full in on using AI in our social media work with our clients. And when we took a test bed of those clients that we'd worked with for years, we looked at those clients in a time frame in 2023, so the 1st of January to the 30th of November, and compared the same clients, the same work the following year after truly embedding AI into our work, and we'd saved 332 hours, which was just immense. There was no reduction in quality. There was no reduction in client retention. And yet everybody was finding more joy in their work, finding more work-life balance, and actually feeling more creative with these tools at our hands. When we started to use AI in our work, we started with fundamental questions. What tasks take the most time? What tasks do we do repetitively? And this was our first place to start. For me, it was things like responding to leads and writing proposals. For my team, for one task was creating client reports, and for others, it was writing content calendars. And so I kind of created this initial thought process of how we should start implementing AI. What time was it taking, or where were we spending our time? What tasks were we spending that time on? And what was the team doing, or did they want to do, or like to do? So, first things first, in order to start saving time, you have to know where you're spending the time. We use time tracking software and always have. So we use Toggle, and you could start by using it over a 4-week period if you've never used this before. Alternatively, if you are already using a time tracking software, go back and find the reports. Make sure that you're clearly labeling and tagging each task. Now, it can feel a little bit laborious, but it's super important to really get granular clarity on where you're spending the most time, because sometimes when you think a task might be 5 minutes, could turn out it's taking you 30. So clearly label and tag each of those tasks when you're time tracking. Include as many people in your team as possible. You want to get a really wide mix or a big picture scenario here, a big picture output. You want to know exactly where everything is happening. Again, you may think that the time that's taking up the most of your team's capacity is writing copy, but actually it might be responding to emails from clients. It might be finding new trends. It might be creating content calendars. Review that report after those 4 weeks. If the data isn't quite there yet, or if you need to make some adjustments or bring more people on board, extend it as you need to. This isn't the part of the journey that should be rushed. Next up is about asking yourselves what tasks should remain as human first. Not everything can be automated, nor should it be. Not everything can involve AI, nor should it if you don't want it to. For us, it was about the in real life events that couldn't be automated naturally, and also the personable elements. So, community engagement is something that's key and vital in social media marketing. And for us, despite there being tools out there that promised to automate those sorts of interactions, we decided we weren't going to use that. It was against our brand values and our mission. And therefore, anything else that we felt was meaningful would not be AI or automated and integrated with AI. Things like customer meetings, customer phone calls, initial sales calls, team meetings, things like that. So, as a reminder, what we always advise is to look closely at those repetitive tasks first. Don't dive straight into that copywriting necessarily. Look at the repetitive tasks on that time list, and that's your first place to start. The final part is about asking who is in your team currently. So, having that oversight of and understanding of what skills are already within your team, but what are their pain points in particular? Is it time? Is it knowledge? Is it enjoyment? What are their development needs? Make sure you involve them from the outset. Do this with them, not to them. My team, for example, now consists of 2 PAYE staff, myself and Rachel, and a team of freelancers. With those freelancers, they may not wish to use AI. A copywriter, for example, isn't likely to want to use AI to write content for their clients because they likely really enjoy that process. However, AI can be a huge help to them when researching client industries or subject matters or finding new clients. And that's fine. This grounds you on how you want to use it. And that for me is about authenticity. So when we looked at the team in Naturally Social and the skills we had, there was myself with the skills for writing, strategy, and comms. And Rachel's skills were all about visuals, templates, editing, and process, both of which were complementary to each other. Because if we flipped that round and saw where the development needs were, it would be the two sections opposite. So for me, when I looked at the task that was taking the most time, for me, it was research and ideation. Before AI, it would take close to probably 4.5 hours, dependent on experience or dependent on the client, to go from that initial off the page work from what are we going to be talking about, what's this industry about, and how are we going to develop that into content. For Rachel, when she's looking at the visual elements of our content work, it's taking 3 to 6 hours when we analysed the process of getting photos and graphics, etc., edited. And the same for video content. If we were to use somebody in our team, or if we were to use a freelancer for video editing, it could take up to 8 hours plus. Once we've got that big picture, we can look at the tech versus the task. We have a 5-step framework for this. Once you know that task that you're trying to save time on, but maintain quality of output and make sure it still sounds on brand, we did the research and we trialed a few tools. We asked for recommendations for those we trusted, and we started to test them out. You may choose to start with ChatGPT if that's what you're used to, or if you're budget restricted. But if you're looking for diary management, something like Notion might be better. So that tool research is really important to find the best one for that task. For research, which is a really simple task that social media marketers would need for content strategies, we could use ChatGPT. Deep research mode is brilliant. I prefer using Perplexity. For me, the task versus the tool was much better executed when we started using Perplexity. I would take my research from Perplexity and I would use ChatGPT to analyze it and formulate ideas for that specific client or subject matter. I can copy the outline of a Word document or download the findings from Perplexity, add it into ChatGPT, and then add a simple prompt to generate those ideas. We can then take those ideas and start to write the copy with it. You could use ChatGPT or something like Claude to then begin writing the copy, and then something like Grammarly to help you with plagiarism and grammar and spelling. When we took the task, combined them with the tools, tested it, trained it, and trialed it, we were saving so much time. We had halved the time it took for developing ideas and producing those ideas into draft and final concepts and copy. And our research was going down to like 15 minutes at a time. Then we found tools for creative. So again, researching what's available and making sure you're stress testing them to see what they do really well. Veed has an amazing feature inside it called Clips, which would allow us to repurpose content for clients from either an MP4 file or a YouTube link. I don't know how it does it, what technology is behind it, but when we upload long form video, it's great at converting it into short vertical style videos of up to 60 seconds that are perfect for TikTok or Instagram Reels. This has saved us hundreds of hours, and it allows it to look and sound on brand because of the features within Veed's dashboard that allow you to upload your brand kit and tone of voice, etc. So what was previously taking quite a long time and costing us quite a lot, now with Veed, our video editing time was taking 3 to 4 hours. And the same with graphics and photos. Educating ourselves and upskilling ourselves with the tools within Canva when when mixed with our team's skill set, so somebody like Rachel who is really visual and can master these tools, was able to produce graphics and templates for social media and print marketing from a simple photo. So in summary, when we looked at the task, having addressed our time constraints, having recorded the time taken, having found the right tools, trained on them, and given consideration to our team's skill set and enjoyment and what they excel at, we were saving 10 and a half hours a week. And there are loads of other tools that we've tested and used. I've got a screenshot here or a screen grab of loads of different tools that we've tested along the way. Some of these we use still in the business, some of them we don't, because as things develop, we find better ways of working, or some tools will integrate other features that we prefer to use within those tools that we're already using. And then the better we got at integrating AI, the more confident we were to be able to take things one step further. And now we've created custom GPTs, we've set up tasks and workflows using something like Make or Lovable, and we've also used agent mode in ChatGPT to really supercharge our efforts of content creation, social media marketing, and strategy. So, yes, there's a lot of tools on the market, and yes, there's so much potential. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. Even with these tools, a lot of AI content can be questionable. If there's one thing we know, ChatGPT loves an emoji, loves a listicle, loves a lengthy post. And as I've mentioned before, those who haven't educated themselves, upskilled, tested, or iterated, and are just happy to pump out the same old stuff, you are going to see a lot more of this around. And let's face it, the internet already has too much stuff of this around on it. Mostly that comes, for me, it comes down to prompting. People are still writing really vague, short prompts. These may feel familiar, look familiar, or perhaps you're still prompting like this now. And certainly in the very early days of 2023, I was prompting like this. But there is an art to it. There is a framework that we use consistently within the business from our friends at AI Finon Techies, and they have a really clear way of thinking about structuring your prompts. Character, context, and clarity. When you think about character when prompting your AI, you need to tell the AI who it should act as, who or how it should act. When you think about the task, who is the best person to help you do that? Is it an expert email marketer? Is it an amazing copywriter or the best social media marketer you can think of? You can even suggest famous people or famous names or big names within the marketing industry as a base point for your AI to work from. And you also need to give the AI a role for yourself. Who are you within this mix? What's your role within the business? And how should it be addressing you or talking to you? Why is it that you are creating this output? Then you've got the context. And by context, we mean as much information as possible. Provide examples of what good looks like, provide examples of what you aspire to sound like, provide them examples of what's worked really well before. And where possible, you can upload as much knowledge about your brand, your tone of voice, your values, your mission, and your vision as you need to based on the prompt or the task that you're asking it to perform. And lastly, make sure you provide clarity. By clarity, we mean what is the clear outputs and outcomes that you need? How should it be formatted? How do you want it seen? What does what does the output look like? Provide it with clear instructions. And at the end of your prompt, Ask it if it needs any clarifying information in order to do the best job it can do. Hopefully, with that framework, that gives you a really great starting point, a great base for you to start creating content that sounds and looks like your brand. But before you begin, always remember to protect sensitive data. Don't share that particularly within free tools, because all that information goes into their training models. Don't use anything or don't do anything without checking your AI policies. And we'll come on to that as we wrap up this session. And don't use those outputs until it's verified by a human. I know full well how exciting it can be to have access to something that will guarantee so much time saving within your day-to-day work life. But we need to review it and make sure it's as good as it can be. It reflects your brand and your tone and the objective of the post and will serve the people reading it. If you haven't got a policy, it's probably the very, 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 very first part of the starting of the journey for your starting point with AI. Because if you haven't got a policy, people don't know how they should integrate it, use it, explore it. A policy will also allow you to bring others in the organization on this journey with you and involve them from the start, and it will stop that bottom-up approach to AI innovation. For us, we started with a clear transparency statement and then built a full AI policy for the team, and then a full AI policy that now sits publicly on the website so that people understand how we use AI within the business and what they can expect from us. Put briefly, a AI transparency statement needs to include these three things: where you use it. So is it for drafting content? Is it going to be for brainstorming ideas? Is it just for admin tasks? It needs to explain why you're using it. Maybe it's for time saving, for productivity. Is it for efficiencies, to keep the organization lean? Or is it to improve consistency? And also, it needs to include information about how you safeguard quality. So, in other words, the human touch that makes sure that nothing goes unchecked, that data isn't used incorrectly, and that the tools you use are GDPR compliant, for example. Because for me, in this AI era, transparency is so, so vital. Trust is important. Trust is our currency in a digital age. Trust means better relationships and better reputation. Because if a customer or a client finds out that you're using AI and you've never mentioned it, they might feel like you've hidden something, even if you didn't mean to. But on the flip side, when you're open about it, it can actually strengthen your credibility because it's showing that you're being innovative, you're being efficient, and that you're thinking about how to deliver the best possible service. I like to use this analogy. AI is like a sous chef. You're still the chef in your kitchen. The sous chops the veg, preps the sauces, gets everything ready, but it's the chef, and that's you, that still decides the recipe, adds the seasoning, and plates the dish. That human touch is what makes it special. So rather than thinking of AI as a potential threat to authenticity, think about it as a tool that you can proudly own, as long as you're clear about how you're using it. And we did all of those things in 2023. We created that policy. We went on to analyze the time taken on certain tasks. We analyzed our team skills, found the tools, did the training, and as I said, went public with our use with our clients in the beginning of 2024. By the end of 2024, we had been approached by Wiltshire Police to help them with a serious violence campaign, in particular the social media element. And due to their time constraints and budget constraints, we said actually this would be a really great case study and a good opportunity for us to use AI. And they were really happy with it. The brief was really clear, but also quite tricky and ambiguous. The campaign itself was about reaching young people before they fell into criminality. And it was about also reaching those who may notice these signs. So friends, peers, parents. It needed to be preventative, interventional, educational, and it needed to raise awareness. Um, it was a tough brief, but really exciting. So when we looked at the team that we had available, myself, Rachel, and our tools of choice were ChatGPT, Ideogram, Canva, and Veed. In 2.5 weeks, we were able to go from ideation to 4 concepts, to development of those concepts, to sign off and creation and launch, all while managing other client work in the business. We had created a lockup, hero imagery, social imageries with and without text in various sizes for various platforms, web banners, designs for vertical pull-up designs, and vertical videos, 2 vertical videos for Snapchat and TikTok. In fact, they loved it that much that they then took it to an out-of-home campaign, and it was on billboards across the county. And the results were pretty epic as well. We'd reached close to 2.5 million impressions on Snapchat, hundreds of thousands of people reached across TikTok, and hundreds of click-throughs to their information page. So I hope that helps to get you guys thinking and started on your journey of how you can save 10 plus hours a week creating content, regardless of your skill or budget, but most importantly, content that sounds and looks like you. And I'd love to leave you with this quote from Paul Raitzer that I met at Social Media Marketing World, and what really sent me away with that excitement. You don't have to become a machine learning engineer or a data scientist to take advantage of what AI enables. You simply have to understand what's possible with smarter technologies and apply them to your business or career. This is just a snapshot of what's possible. And while you will save time using the lessons and steps we've covered today, mistakes will be made. Check out this picture, by the way, and see if you can spot the errors. There's still lessons to be had in this world of AI, and developments are coming all the time. So, like with anything, implementing new ways of working takes time to get good at it and really embed it. But you now need to maintain that momentum and commit to the potential. Thank you so much for watching my webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you guys afterwards. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Natalie Luckham. You can follow us on social media at NLY Social. Or if you've got any questions or feedback, do drop me a line. It's info@naturallysocial.co.uk. Enjoy the rest of the sessions, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.